Let me tell you guys about Belly Up Sports. Belly Up Sports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. Belly Up Sports is the premier, not your average website. I did it. So if you guys remember last episode, me and Edward were talking about the Champions League format, and I was very much intrigued as how last year's Champions League would look if it was to have followed the giant table. And so I did it. I created a spreadsheet, and I did it. I will say, though, obviously there's some asterisks behind it because, one, there's clearly less teams from last year because obviously or if you didn't know, they expanded the Champions League. They expanded it to more teams. But the other thing is, obviously, in this Champions League format, each team plays 8 matches versus last year they played 6 matches, and it was against the teams that were in their same group. So it's a little bit different, I know, but I just wanted to see how the chips would all fall if they were to follow it. So I did it. I did the math. I did it. Okay. Am I proud of it? Kind of, yeah. I'm kind of proud of it. But here's the table. So the teams that would have automatically qualified to the round of 16 would be in first place Manchester City. So Manchester City and Real Madrid both went undefeated in the group stage, but the advantage does go to Manchester City off a goal differential. So they scored more goals than Real Madrid. They allowed the same number of goals, but obviously the goal differential was significantly higher. So both teams finished 6-0, both with 18 points apiece. But because of goal differential, Manchester City does become the first place team. Second place is Real Madrid. Third place is Bayern Munich. Fourth place, Atletico Madrid. Fifth place, Arsenal. Sixth place, FC Porto. 7th place, Barcelona. And 8th place, Real Sociedad. That is a very La Liga heavy top 8. So that is very interesting. Once again, and obviously, maybe I was wrong on this, but I went first by points, then by goal differential, and I think the third tier, the third tiebreaker was goals scored. I could be wrong that maybe that's not how Champions League does it, but that's what I did for this one. I don't think it changes anything too much. I think it is interesting that a 3-win Real Sociedad jumps over a 4-win RB Leipzig, but once again, the goal differential is really what stood them apart from RB Leipzig. But now, before I get to the teams that are in the playoff round, not the 1-game playoff, but they go into the playoff round. The teams that don't make it, we have Red Bull Salzburg. We have at 25th, 26th place. We have Young Boys. We have Braga, Celtic, Antwerp, Union Berlin, Sevilla, and Crvena Zvezda. I don't know how to pronounce that team. I probably should eventually learn how to pronounce that team. But those are the teams that are immediately knocked out from the Champions League, these teams were, in fact, eliminated from the Champions League, I believe. But yes. So the teams that essentially would be playing in that knockout, in the knockout round, in the playoff round, I guess. I don't really know how they call it, but you would have RB Leipzig taking on Benfica, Inter Milan versus Manchester United. That's actually a pretty juicy game. Or, well, I mean, if we're talking about last year's Manchester United, maybe not so much. Borussia Dortmund versus Galatasaray, Napoli versus Newcastle United, Lazio versus Feyenoord, Shakhtar Donetsk versus RC Lens, PSV versus AC Milan, and PSG versus Copenhagen. Yeah, I mean, these would be some interesting matches. The one that at least stands out the most to me probably would be Uh, Probably Newcastle United and Napoli. That probably would be the one. But yeah, I was just intrigued. I was intrigued if this was applied last year, who would be where, and I think honestly, I don't know if many people would like I said, man, with this new Champions League format, I wasn't against it by all means. I kept a very open mind because of the fact that like you just don't know. You just don't know how it's going to open up. You don't know who misses out, who's and I mean, so if we were to look at last year's the teams that did miss out on Champions League, um, in the standings. So Manchester United, they actually missed out. Uh, they were in fourth place, so they were out. They're in a position where they could possibly get into the round of 16, just right there off the jump. Um, let's see, anything else crazy? I mean, the group of death, they're all still advancing. Like all the teams from the group of death, right? Yeah, because Newcastle United was the fourth place team, and they're in 21st. They're in the knockout, in the playoff round. So is AC Milan, so is PSG, and uh, Dortmund. I mean, funny enough, they're all in the playoff round. None of them advanced to the round of 16 because they basically beat up each other in their group. Like I said, though, I do take this with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that this is verbatim how it would be, but because clearly, if you're playing against this, you're going to play against three same teams because you're in the group. It's a little different now because this year you had to play against 8 different teams, depending on 2 teams from Pot A, 2 teams from Pot B, 2 teams from Pot C, and 2 teams from Pot D. So things were going to it's significantly different, but I still think that it's like seeing how this all falls in line. Do we get the same round of 16? Probably not. And I think that I just was intrigued. This was probably just a waste of time, but I just thought it was interesting to at least check out to see how all things would have transpired. And I'm fine with it. I think it's an interesting table, and yeah, now we know. Maybe you learned something, maybe we didn't, but there it is, all for the eyes to see. So yeah, maybe I wasted my time, maybe I didn't. I can't really tell you the truth. I just know I literally just sat through an Excel spreadsheet to do this, and I'm going to feel like I did something. So that's all I'm going to say.